Yay. Okay, we're recording. Awesome. Okay. So I just wanted to share about like coaching and how to share the coaching like business opportunity as a whole, because I feel like when you first start out as a coach, it can be so scary and it's like this big thing to share about, when in reality, like for me nowadays, I feel like sharing the coaching opportunity is almost more fun than sharing like the health and fitness opportunity. Not to say that that's, not something good to share, but for me, the coaching just like wraps it all up into one. Because for me, in my personal journey, when I first started, like, yeah, I was turned on by the health and fitness piece of it and like Shaco and the workouts and the community. But it wasn't until I became a coach, until I was like really consistent with all that stuff. There was like a few week period before I became a coach where I like stopped doing my workouts and stopped drinking my Shaco. But then I signed up to be a coach and I was like, oh, I really need to like be committed to this and consistent. And so nowadays for me, sharing the coaching opportunity really starts there, and that it's like the full package. And yes, you can start as, a client and customer, but if you start as a coach, there's that level of like, she has to be really committed, to her journey if she's actually going to sign up and be a coach, even if it's only for the discount. So the first thing I want to talk about is just like the belief that when you're sharing about the coaching opportunity, you first off have to believe that this can and will change your life. Like whether or not it is changing it yet, or, like whether or not you just signed up yesterday, or whether or not you're working really, really hard right now to hit a goal that's going to help change your life, but you're still in that grinding phase, which is like all of us right now and so many of us on our team. You have to believe that this is going to change your life and can. Because when I first started out, that was my biggest hesitation. It was like, I didn't want to share coaching because like it's not changing my life yet, or like I don't have the 6-figure income that other coaches have. Like, how could I share that? But that's kind of the same thing as saying, well, I don't have the 6-pack abs, so how could I help anybody else get healthy? And we all know that's just such a lie. Like, you can share the coaching and business opportunity as you are right now, because there's a reason you're doing it, and there's a reason you're pushing for something greater than like where you're at and what you're doing now. And so that's like what I really want to dive into, and that's what we need to start sharing on our social media. So the way that I kind of did that when I was really early on in my journey was teaching my followers how, by telling them like what my dreams and goals were with coaching, and how that was going to help my life, and how that was going to fit into my life, and how it was fitting into my life. So when I was working as a barista, like I told my followers, I want to quit my job by this date, and I want to go full time with coaching by this date, and I want to do this by this time. Like I shared my dreams and my vision and goals with my following, and that was hella scary, like so scary, because you never know if what's going to happen in life, and you never know if people are going to judge you for that, and you never know if something bad happens and then you end up not like getting that goal at that right time. It's just vulnerable to put it out there. But I think it's so important, because even if you don't miss, or like you don't make the mark, or you miss that goal, the fact that you're still pressing on and like that you don't quit is even more like trust and like relationship building with your followers, who are hearing your dream and seeing that dream. Like, I know for me personally, when I watched my coach, she put her dream and her vision out there, and then I saw her work really hard, and then I saw her quit her job, and I saw her do this and that, and just achieve all these goals. And I wasn't even really paying attention to the timeline. I was just being blown away by her willingness to show up. And so like when you believe in this stuff, that it can and will work for you, and then you share about that and you share your vision really wholeheartedly with people, you can invite them in on doing the same thing really, really naturally. You can be like, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm working really hard to quit my job, to go full time, or like whatever your vision is. And I'm so stoked, and I'm building a team of ladies right alongside myself, or a team of men, or a team of everybody alongside myself to do it with me. And would you want to join in on it? Would you want to hop in on that? Because then it becomes this movement. And then people, as you're talking about it in your posts or your personal invites, it becomes this movement that people want to be a part of. And maybe even if they're not passionate about health and fitness, like maybe they just want to be a part of it because they see you making a change in other people's lives, or making a change in your life. Like overall, like that's the coolest part I started inviting people that weren't even like into health and fitness or weren't even like interested in being healthier for a little season, because I was like, you know what, like the coaching opportunity could change their life. So like, why would I not even like share that with someone? And I remember there was like a specific girl, she was like, I'm like a smoker. I'm like not concerned about my health at all. And I was like, well, that's okay. Like you can learn. And it was funny. It never really went to anything, but hey, she's still following me, so maybe she's interested. But that's the really cool part about this is like when you establish that vision for yourself, your big why and your goals, and you just get real about it on social media and start sharing that, like even if your boss is watching you, you know, like my bosses were watching me on social media and they would like come into my coffee shop and show me my posts and be like, this is interesting. And I'd be like, yep, that's all, and just like walk away. And I got so much crap when I quit my job, and my boss like called me up crying and was like, you need to take that post down that you quit and you're happy. I'm like, why? I'm happy. I'm moving on to bigger and better things. You guys were great, but this is better, you know? So just don't be afraid of what people are going to say, because you just got to love them and leave them, and they'll follow along if they're a part of your tribe. And if not, then like, bye, you can just leave them. That's okay. That's better off for you anyways, and for them. So number 2, I just want to go into like a little exercise. So if you have a pen and paper out, this would be an awesome chance to do this. So I want to just define coaching, because I think that's where it all starts. Like, you know, when you're talking about your vision and your journey with coaching and your why and like all of that stuff, that's awesome. But like, let's talk about what even is coaching, because once you have this definition for yourself, it's super easy to share that with people in a DM or, you know, in person or at Thanksgiving when your family and all your parents and everybody asks you, so what are you doing as a virtual health coach? Like, what does that actually mean? And so it's really important, I think, to just like come up with an answer that grandma can understand, because that way you can send the invite and the DMs really, really, really simply for yourself and not word vomit on people. Like just keep it really short and sweet. And then it's just such an easy invite process. So ask yourself, like, what is coaching for me? So I'm just going to give you guys like a minute to write that down. You can even write it in your phone too if you don't have like a pen and paper with you. I don't know why I'm like really sweaty right now. Oh. Okay, so what I wrote down earlier, and the coolest part about this is like your definition of coaching can change on the daily. It can change on the monthly, like whatever, but it's so important to have your little, you know, definition, your, I don't know what people call it. It's like your pitch or whatever in like 2 seconds. So what I wrote down was guiding health coaching for me is guiding and mentoring other people or women through their health journey by connecting them to a community, tools, and support. So really, really simple. It doesn't sound like rocket science. It doesn't sound crazy. I feel like if your average person heard that, they would be able to understand like, oh, cool. And, you know, another way I've heard it from someone else is, as coaches, we help people with their health and fitness, and then we help people help other people with their health and fitness. So like that kind of incorporates the whole business aspect of it, that you're also building a team. So again, like my first answer was really, really focused on the health and fitness, but your answer could be focused on both aspects, or, you know, your answer could be really, really, really focused in on the whole business and building a team. Like you could be like, health coaching for me is building a team of coaches along myself, and all together we help other people with their health and fitness journeys. Like, so, you know, so just malleable. You can change it up to whatever and however you want to say it to people, and to what really speaks to you and what's your favorite part about coaching and what's most important. So the next thing is like, we have our definition, you know, we have our belief, and we have this vision. but how do we talk about that like with people? Like you can send that definition to somebody, but what if they come back with all these like questions? And so the other thing I want to talk about is breadcrumbing in your social media. And I know I've mentioned this, I feel like, a million times before. So if this is the first time you're hearing it, I don't know where you've been. But breadcrumbing, really like breaking it down. I just listened to a training by Sammy Glonick, and she said it's sandwiching in with all of the other life topics and brands that you have, sandwiching in little snippets about coaching. So she gave an example, like, I'm talking on my social media, like, I just watched an episode of Gossip Girl because I love Gossip Girl. I don't, but that's what she said. And then she says something about coaching. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. I was checking in with my challenge group for getting some coach work done, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes back to like talking about Disney because she loves Disney or something. So my example for it was, talk about coaching and how I just woke up and I love checking in with all my coaches in our message pods. It's so much fun. And then I talk about my dog, Lola, so it's like this little sandwich. And then I talk about another thing with coaching. Oh, I'm checking into my boot camp now because that's a part of what we do as coaches. Oh, now I'm cooking a meal because I really love cooking. That's kind of like another brand. So it's so easy to like sandwich this stuff in. And if you do that all day long, every single day, I promise you it's going to feel like you are just like blowing up social media and throwing up all about coaching, but you're not. The coolest thing about this, like if we all did this as a team and then we did an exercise where we came back, and reviewed each other's social media, I bet that we would all be like, oh no, you don't talk about coaching too much because it's balanced out with so much other stuff. And so if you feel like you're just like talking so much about coaching, it's probably because you're not balancing it out with other things and sandwiching it in. So try that method on your social media, like on your stories, sandwich it with stuff. And then you can do the same thing with your Instagram posts. So, you could talk about, I do it even within a post, I'll talk about blah, 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 my dog, Chad, whatever, my life. And then I'll be like, and just got done checking in with my boot camp, or, it's like I breadcrumb and sandwich in a little snippet of coaching within this massive post that's not even really about coaching, but because I'm like sprinkling it into that post, it's getting people's like, oh, like their ears are turning up and they're hearing coaching more and more and more, and they're hearing the little perks. Like it doesn't have to be always one big call to action. And I think honestly the breadcrumbing over time is what's more powerful. What is that like quote, or there's like a statistic, it takes somebody like 27 times before they buy something. Like if they see an ad for something a certain number of times, then they buy it. It's kind of the same thing. Like if they hear about coaching a million times, they're going to eventually get interested in it, whether or not they actually end up doing it. But the coolest part is like having them be interested in it. So super encourage you guys to just like sandwich in coaching in your stories as well as your posts, because it'll just become natural and like a part of your daily routine, and your social media is kind of like daily routine, and people will probably almost expect to hear it from you. So now I want to do an exercise of like what are the activities that we as coaches do, and like what are the values you love about coaching that you could share about. So just like take a second to write down, like maybe it's the community for you that you love. So like what could that turn into for a post? You could just like, take a screenshot of a mentorship call with me, or with, a success partner if you have one, or a team call. Like community is all through that. So I'm going to let you guys write down a few more, and then I'll give more like examples. Okay. So another few things that I had written down was like the income part of things, even if you're not earning a six-figure income, you could be paying for your gas bill every single month, or you could be paying for your Shaco, your own investment on your health. Like what better way to share about coaching than talking about if you want to invest in your health and you're struggling financially to do that, sign up and become a coach. Help me, host a group. That's such a good way to like breadcrumb. So the team atmosphere, maybe like, if you were playing sports in high school or something and you had a team, or you were a part of like a dance team at one point in your life and you lost that, like I feel like the coaching team has totally replaced all of those sports I used to play in high school and college. And it's like this team atmosphere, but it's like so much stronger, and I think it's just so much more fun. So like that's another way. Another thing was like commitment to your health routine. So like what better way to be committed to your health than to have the responsibility of being a coach, whether or not it's just for the title or for, as a coach, as a working coach, you're signing people up. And so like that in and of itself is the perfect thing to share. For me, another one was working wherever. So I'm a free spirit and I love to travel and I love to go all over the place. I live in an RV. So that's like such a good testimony to that. Like I can work wherever I go, and that's like my personality, and that's what I've always wanted. So just wanted you guys to like do these exercises because I feel like it comes up with such good stuff to share. And a lot of times when we're on our own or like we're under pressure, it's so hard to come up with this stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, why can't I think of anything? But just when you sit, in a quiet space and ask yourself, like, what really is it that I like absolutely love about coaching? I feel like it comes so natural. And then again, like when you're sandwiching all this stuff into your stories and in your posts, breadcrumbing, like I explained, it's going to help your followers not only like understand and hear your vision, but like see that this is just a natural thing and it's really normal, and they'll hear it more. And then when you host a coach workshop or something to get people involved, they're going to want to jump in because they're super curious. They're like, oh my gosh, I've seen and heard all about this, but I don't know like the details. So that was the last thing I just wanted to say is like when you're posting and when you're sharing on social media, make sure that it's like a constant sneak peek. That's another thing I heard from a really good coach. I love her. Her name is Kim Fitzpatrick, if you guys want to like look her up. But she is a coach from Canada, and she said that her social media, she just treats it like a constant coach sneak peek. So if you've never run or hosted like a coach workshop or a coach sneak peek, that's like basically what it is. It's like you just walk people through the inside of what coaching is. So you're just kind of like, showing behind the curtain. So like for me, when I've run or hosted coach sneak peeks, I usually try to keep them really simple, like 3 or 4 videos at most. And then like, I'll share my health journey first. And then after that, I'll share about what we actually do as coaches, and like that it's really simple. We help people. We coach people, guide them. We use the tools, Beachbody On Demand, Shakeology, and we just serve as their mentor throughout their whole health journey process. And then I do another video on like the actual business side of coaching, the finances, like what does it take to sign up? What does it take to be a coach every single month financially? And then I usually try to talk about like the income opportunity and like the growth that's there, because this is $1 million business. You just have to have $1 million work ethic. So sharing that with people like that, I just think that's something nobody ever talks about, and kind of just getting real with people and saying like that you believe in that and that it's going to happen for you is so motivating and empowering. Like that's again why I was so motivated to sign up as a coach under my coach, because she was talking about that with such firm belief and like confidence. So like make that show up on your social media, everything that you would say and do and show in a coach sneak peek, like make that your Instagram or your Facebook profile. Because again, it's the same thing with the breadcrumbing. Like it's the more people hear about it, the more they see it, they're going to get more curious and want more details about it. So I know that was like super short and sweet, but that's all I had for you guys, because I think honestly sharing the business opportunity is something we get so up in our heads about, like, oh, this is so hard and so like scary, but it's really not. You just have to do it over and over and over and practice. I guess the last little thing I wanted to say is when you start kind of shifting your mindset to, I'm going to start recruiting coaches every single month, not only challengers or maybe only coaches, because coaches have to be challengers first, right? That's the thing. Like when you sign up a coach who's ready to build a business, whether or not they actually do build a business, the requirement is that they pursue their health journey and they work on their health journey. So when I recruit coaches from Sneak Peeks, you know, the first thing I say is, let's get you hooked up to a program and a meal plan, and let's get you started on your health journey so you can start seeing results and you can start speaking to that and using that, because like our results are basically our billboard. It's like, hey, look at what I just did and look at how I'm committing to this and I'm seeing changes. You can do it too. Like that's why we share client transformations, because it's a testimony that this stuff works if you just put in the work. So that's the really cool thing about like recruiting coaches every month. And that's why it's so important to add on to your business aside, like apart from just recruiting clients and people who want to work on their health journey. Like, yes, obviously that's really important too. But I've found it's almost more fun when you have people signing up to be coaches, because it's like, okay, let's get you, you know, results, and let's be really serious about your nutrition and your workouts. And they're just like gung ho about it. And then they have this intention to build a business, whether they start on day 1 or day 10, you know, or a month after they've started. They have that intention there, and it's so fun to be able to do that with them and alongside of them. So yeah, it's just like killing two birds with one stone. Some of my best months, like Success Club wise and recruiting wise of coaches, have been because I've hosted like 4 coach sneak peeks. I'll just host them back to back to back to back, like one every weekend. And that's when the people are just like coming in and they have to start as clients and challengers, but then obviously they continue on to be coaches in one way or another. So for me, I think that's just like the most fun thing in the world. So if you guys have any questions about like coaching or recruiting coaches, or how you want to share the business opportunity, you can just unmute yourself or post it in the chat. Hopefully it was like fun to actually be interactive, because I feel like so much of these team calls, it's like we're just getting talked at, and I take really, really detailed notes. So it's good for me to have like space to think. Anything?
Well, I'll just say that I feel like with coaching that I mainly end up talking so much about discount coaching when I'm talking to someone, not necessarily like the business aspect, but I think that that's also because I'm still building up my own as well. So would you have any suggestions, just because I don't really have a team of coaches who are doing or interested in like the coaching work, just a couple who are discount coaches?
I mean, again, I feel like I would just post it all over your social media that, like, you know, yes, you are working on your health and fitness, but like there's an opportunity to build a business doing that with you, like right alongside of you. So that's where like you have to go into what do you like about coaching and what matters to you, because usually what matters to you is what's going to matter to your followers. Like I know for me, I mean, I really love everything about coaching, but I think the biggest things is like working from wherever and having the community. I mean, income is probably like third, but like those were the main things. And so when I first started out, I just like talked about those, and that like, how cool is it that I get to work on my health and fitness journey and be the best version of myself while also helping others do that, and like that I'm getting paid to do that. Like just talking about that it's a job and you're doing it alongside of your other job. I think part-time coaching is so powerful to talk about too, because most people when they start out aren't going to drop everything and just be full-time coaches. Like nobody does that unless like you have that opportunity already in your life, like, or you were planning on quitting your job or something. So talking to people, like that this is something they can just add on for a couple extra hours a week, like 10 extra hours a week. Can you put it into a side business where you're getting fit first and foremost and feeling good? And then you're just sharing about that on your social media and getting other people involved in it. So yeah, like keeping it really simple would be awesome. And like obviously don't stop sharing the discount coach opportunity, but I feel like just speaking to the fact that like coaching isn't this thing where you have to have this massive business and this massive team, like, and even when you're just starting out, like talk about that. Talk about how you're just starting out and you're looking to build a team of people who are as passionate about it as you are. That like I talked about that so much when I first started. Like I'm, in the beginning of my journey and I want to build a team, and I don't have a huge team yet, but I know I can and I know it'll get there. Like, would you want to be a part of that team and that tribe? And even speaking to the kind of person that you want on your team. I just listened to a training by a top coach, and she was saying like the legitimate details of the person she wanted on her team. So she was like, I talk about how it's really, really hard work. I talk about how, it is my fuel. Like I'm an introvert, and she's like, I like to be alone. And so I go alone and do my coach work, and it like refuels me for my day or fills me up. So that's the kind of person she's like attracting. So that's a really good thing too. Like what is that exact person that you want? Somebody that's motivated, or somebody that's really hardworking or passionate, or encouraging. Like, I don't know, come up with like more adjectives and speak to that person too. Hopefully that helps. I feel like that was all over the place. Anyone else have questions? And you can just type them in the chat if you don't want to like actually talk. I think the biggest thing to remember is just that like sharing about coaching, like don't let it be a thing that overwhelms you and so you don't do it. Like you can very smoothly and like simply piece all this stuff together into one piece, your health and fitness journey and sharing your workouts and sharing your boot camp and sharing the business all into one on your social media. So like if anything, just don't be overwhelmed by having so much to share. Just like dive into it and do your best and see what works and try something, because like again, that's what we do as entrepreneurs. And we, our job isn't to be perfect, it's just to do our best every day. And so you have a day where you share so much about coaching and maybe you don't even share about the boot camps. Oh well, like tomorrow share about the boot camps. So I feel like that's like the last piece of advice I have for you guys. Otherwise we can hop off. Have a good rest of our night. If you didn't get a boomerang or a picture, get one. I already took one earlier, so. Okay, guys, have a good rest of your night. Bye.